Hi, welcome to Lesson 9 of Fiction and Poetry. Here we're going to talk about meter. Now, meter, obviously we know what a meter is if we're going to measure the height or length of something. It's the same kind of idea when we're talking about poetry. This is a way of measuring a line of poetry, okay? So we're going to base it on the rhythm of the words. Now obviously you're very used to counting syllables. This is something that we all do as children. We count out the syllables when we talk, right? Or if you play an instrument, you're used to counting the beats. That's also the meter, right? So, when we speak, we place the stress on different parts of the words. So let's talk about some different ways of speaking and some different ways that we use this. Okay? So, I would like to draw your attention to the very first topic overview, where we're talking about some different parts of the words. So, I bring your attention to the word apple. Okay? Now, when we say apple, the emphasis is at the beginning, right? Apple. We wouldn't say apple. That's not really what native speakers say, right? What if we look at words like fantastic? Again, the stress is the beginning. Fantastic. We wouldn't put it in the middle. We wouldn't say fantastic. It's a little weird. Or fantastic. All very strange, right? These are all different ways of saying it, though. So, let's look at the next part. In poetry, a unit of stressed and unstressed syllables is called a foot. So, just like how a meter stick has 3 feet on it, we're going to look at the line of poetry according to, that's right, the feet. So, let's look at this first line. No longer mourn for me when I am dead. Who do we think wrote this? Yeah, that's Shakespeare. Very good. So, no longer mourn for me when I am dead. Look at the way that this is written. This has stressed and unstressed syllables, right? This sounds like ba-ba, 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 ba-ba. If you've read anything by Shakespeare, that's how it sounds. Especially if you don't quite understand what the language is or how he's using some of those words. But let's just look at the way that the syllables are set up. Okay? No longer mourn for me when I am dead. Okay? We wouldn't say it the other way, right? No longer mourn for me when I am dead. That's very awkward. Think about it. Most of the time, we are speaking in iambic pentameter. We'll get into those words in just a second. But that's what we're speaking in. That's a natural way of speaking English, right? He uses iambs, okay? Most English speakers do. So, pick any line from the pages and read them aloud. Pick any line from Shakespeare and read it aloud. Most likely, most of the time, it's going to be in iambic pentameter. So, let's look at some other words that have an iambic rhythm. Above, support, hooray, okay? These are all words that have that emphasis at the end, okay? Then we have the sentence, his noisy snoring woke the neighbor's dog, okay? Ba-ba, 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 ba-ba. Again, same thing. So, try making up a sentence of your own using iambic pentameter. I know it sounds tricky, but actually it's really not. This is the way that we would normally speak, okay? So, let's look at different types of feet, okay? We have trochee, or the trochaic foot, okay? We have iambs, which we just discussed. We have anapest, we have dactyl. All of these are very different and yet very similar. Okay, let's take a look again at the iamb just to relate some things back to each other. The iamb is ba-ba, okay, above. Okay, let's look at the trochee. The trochee is best understood by understanding what the iamb is, because the trochee is the opposite. This is ba-ba, okay? Apple is a trochee, okay? Above, iamb. Apple, trochee. Okay, very good. So, obviously in the English language, we have words that are not simply 2 syllables. We have 3 syllables, right? 3 syllables usually lie within either an anapest or a dactyl. An anapest is ba, ba, ba. So, what's an example of an anapest? Underneath. The emphasis is on neath. underneath. Okay? 17. Okay? This is anapest. 17. Again, it's on teen. Ba, ba, ba. Let's look at dactyl. Something that has a dactyl goes ba, ba, ba. Elephant. Okay? Stepmother. So, these are words that have 3 syllables, and we either place the emphasis at the very end, 17, underneath, or at the very beginning. Elephant, stepmother, which would be the dactyl. Okay? So, when we're looking at the meter of the poem, we're going to take a lot of consideration when we're looking at the way that the words are used. Do we have iambs? Do we have trochees? Do we have anapest? Do we have dactyl? Because these are all going to create different forms. These are all going to create different ways of hearing the music of the line. Okay? So, let's look at some other examples. Okay? Let's look at a trochaic dimeter. Okay? So, what does this mean? This is a sentence that goes Baba, Baba. Okay? Eat your dinner. So, in this case, we're going to put the emphasis on eat and din. Correct? We wouldn't say it the other way. Eat your dinner. Doesn't quite sound right. Let's look at another one. Let's say that we want to look at a trimeter. Okay? Ba-ba, ba-ba, ba-ba. Okay? So, same thing. I eat the bread and cheese. Ba-ba, ba-ba, ba-ba. So we're looking at trimeters. This is where everything is divided up into 3, and we have the emphasis on the 2nd, 4th, and 6th syllabi. Okay? So, let's look at the last part. If there are 4 feet per line, okay, this is a tetrameter. Okay? Ba-ba, 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 ba-ba. Father ordered extra pizza. Okay, and as you can see, we continue on, and the pattern goes from there. We have 5 feet, we have 6 feet, we have 7 feet, we have 8 feet. It goes on, dependent upon the line. So, again, this is completely up to the poet. If you are using a specific manner of writing, then you may be a little cut off for some of the things that you would like to use. But do pay attention to the way that your line is set up. The music of the line can be found in the pentameter, it can be found in the iambs, it can be found in the trochees. It depends on what you want to use. Okay? So, when reading metered poetry, such as a sonnet in iambic pentameter, the meter will often sound uneven or will be harder to hear. Okay? Meter is simply a form of measurement. The real rhythm of a poem is more complicated than that. So, I know what we've already talked about kind of points out the different ways of measuring the poem, but look at the poems that you have written yourself. Look at Shakespearean sonnets. Look at Shakespearean pieces. Look at poems by Robert Frost. A lot of these are also in iambic pentameter. Most poems are written that way because that's the way that we speak. Okay? You will find the occasional trochee. You will find the occasional dactyl. It happens. We do talk that way as well. However, it's not nearly as natural. Think about the ways that you can create that line. Think about the way that you can really express yourself and create the music of that line. A lot of times we like to pick sticking with an iambic pentameter because first of all, it's easy, and second of all, it creates the music that we want. Now, if you're creating a line where certain words set aside, like when we were talking about she paints the room, obviously she only has 1 syllable, right? What about paints the room? What does that say? Paints the room. Ba, ba, ba. This is trochee, right? So, look at the way that we have this all set up. We have the ba, ba, ba's, the ba, ba, ba's, and the ba, ba, ba. So, next time you're talking with somebody, try to pay attention to the meter of their line. Pay attention to the way that they create their words and the way that they are speaking with you. Okay, you're going to notice that most of the time, yeah, it's an iambic pentameter, but on occasion, we do like to throw in the other rhythms as well. We like to use a trochee, we like to use an anapest, we like to use a dactyl, because it does add a little bit of interest to the way that we're speaking, and also when you use in your poetry, it adds some more interest to your line. See if you can be creative and throw these in as much as possible.